Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back, viewers, to the videos which we are making on XEN Virtualization. And this is probably the most anticipated video segment of this series because it covers XEN Virtual Machine Live Migration. Right, so in order to do live migration, what all do you need? You need, well, talking about physical resources, if you can afford, you would be needing at least 2 XEN hosts, like this is XEN host 1 and this is XEN host 2, and you would be needing a shared storage either on iSCSI or NFS or whatever you have. Right, so this is my setup here at my home. I've got one physical switch, 8-port switch, on which I've got my laptop connected and these 3 Dell machines connected. One of them is acting as the iSCSI disk or iSCSI store. It's running OpenFiler. These 2 physical hosts, XEN hosts, they are running CentOS 5.4, and I updated their kernel and XEN versions and lib versions and Virtual Manager versions, like updated key components what I would be needing. And this is my connection to internet, which doesn't matter, which just goes without saying. Right, so we would be creating our virtual machines here and here on these 2 XEN hosts, but their disks would be created here on iSCSI storage, central storage server. Okay, so they would be mounting through this Ethernet link which we have here. These volumes would be mounted here and the virtual machines would be started and stopped accordingly as per our requirements. We would be referring to this diagram quite frequently throughout this discussion or throughout this demonstration. Okay, so what are the requirements which you must satisfy to do live migration? You need to have your storage and your XEN hosts on the same layer 2 subnet which I have here. Okay, this is my layer 2 subnet and it's the same layer 2 subnet which is like 192.168.1.0/24. so it's a 254 host capable subnet, and of course all these machines shown here are connected to it. Fine, this is one of the major requirements. The second requirement is that both XEN hosts should have the same processor architecture. Like if they are Intel, they both should be Intel. It's not possible that one is Intel and one is AMD. Okay, and then both should be of the same processor architecture bitwise, like both should be 32-bit or both should be 64-bit. You cannot mix and match here. Then the kernel version and the XEN hypervisor version should ideally be the same as well. So I've done these I've gone through this checklist, and I'll show you in a moment that what all I have now. So these 2 machines is running CentOS and storage running OpenFiler 2.3, and I minimize the screen now. So I would like to show you first of all the kernel versions. uname minus, come on, uname minus A. Let's maximize this. Uname minus R would show you just the kernel version. You see that this is an updated kernel I updated last night. Basically I installed these 2 XEN hosts totally fresh yesterday night in order to be totally consistent in disk layouts and everything. I have this 10 GB of disk, local disk, or partition allotted to root, which is more than enough. Even 3 GB is enough because none of the virtual machines would be created here. Means the disk would not be here. So these machines would just host the virtual machine configuration files, and that's all. Fine. This is okay, the latest kernel, and if I show you the history, pipes through grep yum. So I want to show you that what all I did. I updated kernel Zen, kernel headers, kernel Zen develop. It was not needed, but anyway, libvirt, it was important. Virtual manager, important, and Zen itself, of course. The word Zen is like broken up here. Okay, kernel headers was installed. iSCSI initiators were also updated. This is important. Maybe I encountered an error or a small little problem while I was preparing for this lab. So I thought it necessary or beneficial to update iSCSI initiator utils. I don't know if I'll hit that problem again or not, but anyway, I'll share that with you. Alright, Firefox I've downloaded, but I'm not using because this browser, where is that? This Conqueror is serving my purpose. I can open the storage interface without any problem, so why install Firefox :/446, and it would be HTTPS. Okay, continue forever. Okay, so this is storage. Open filer is the web username, password is the password, store. I don't want to do this. Okay, fine. So since I can open my storage web GUI from here, I don't need to install Firefox. Never mind. So major things were to update kernel Zen, kernel headers, libvirt, virtual manager, so that its bugs can be squashed, and iSCSI initiator utils. These are the main things which you should update. So rpm -query kernel Zen, libvirt, virtual manager, Zen, and iSCSI initiator utils. I will check the version of all these. Oh, initiator. Okay, so this is the versions. Kernel Zen, this is the latest version which is installed and is active. Libvirt, this version was installed. You see these two because two versions of the same package at times is installed. One is i386 and one is 64-bit. Means one is 32-bit and one is 64-bit. Virtual Manager is 0.6.1-8 and Zen 3.0.3-94, and iSCSI initiator is also updated. Let me show you another screen. This is Zen host 2, and here I would query the same because I want to start what all I was going to do. Libvirt, virtual manager, Zen, and iSCSI initiator utils. Okay, so these are my packages. This one is the latest one, and is it active? Yes, it's active as well here. Oops, here. libvirtual is latest, virtual manager latest, Zen latest for this distribution. My distribution is Red Hat release CentOS 5.4. okay, fine. So so-called my lab is ready, and we can start off with creating virtual machines. First of all, first thing what you should do is open your OpenFiler interface. It's here, and before that I just want to show you a very I just want to show you that where you would get help for this live migration. Go to zen.org, go to support documentation, and once you go there you would find this user manual Zen 3.0, and in that you would see this migrating domains, migration and live migration. There is a small this topic covers the requirements. So both hosts must be running Zen, destination must have sufficient resources like memory, and both machines to be on the same layer 2 subnet. So what is live migration in the first place? Live migration means that your whatever virtual machine you are migrating, it will keep delivering the services it is supposed to deliver, and it will be kind of paused at one machine. The whole its memory, its virtual memory and all the state of the files would be copied to the other machine, other Zen host, and then that would be unpaused over there. If you do a constant ping to that machine, you would see constant reply of the ping. That means that it is available all the time. If you do a file copy test, even any test which you do, your service would always be available. It would never get disrupted. So it will never get disrupted. So that's the idea behind live migration. You can do simple migration as well, and that is just copying the virtual machine to the other side and then starting it over there. It doesn't take care of the memory states. So the command line is XM migrate, but I'll be showing you both from the GUI and from the command line both. However, Zen live migration doesn't work out of the box. There are certain pieces of configuration which you are supposed to make in the ZenD config file, which I'll be covering in a few moments. First of all, we would start with our storage. If you recall, in the last videos or most recent videos, we configured OpenFiler, and we configured a volume group, and we configured an iSCSI target on top of that volume group, and made two LVMs and made these LVMs part of that iSCSI target. These two LVMs are 3 GB in size, both enough for a Linux virtual machine. And to further ease the installation, to further streamline the installation, I've done one additional thing, that I've created a Kickstart file, which I would recommend to you as well. Here is my file, on OpenFiler OpenFiler 2.3. The location of HTTP document root is /serve www html, and here's my Kickstart Linux vm.ks.kickstart. So it just says that how it would be installed, where is the URL. If you go down, the most important thing is, since the disk is 3 GB, I'm creating a swap partition of 384, and I'm allocating the rest of the disk, which would be like 2600 something, to the root partition. And I'm doing just the core packages, excluding all this stuff, I don't need it, and I'm going to disable all these services as well once the node is restarted, the virtual machine. It's important to note here, where is that, you don't need CPU speed in the virtual machine. You don't need iSCSI initiator in the virtual machines unless you are actually using mounting some additional volumes inside that virtual machine. Otherwise you don't need this. You don't need libvirtuald. You don't need LVM monitor, don't need MD monitor, you don't need ZenD, you don't need XFS, you don't need microcode control. Okay, because all these things, if it's going to be a para virtual machine, all these things would be handled by the Xen hypervisor itself. So it's a nice way to disable services at the end of the installation. Especially this sendmail is notorious for giving problems if the IP of the machine changes or the host name changes, virtual machine, then it would take a long time to start. Right, you might be thinking that I get detracked every now and then during this demonstration, so excuse me for that, because the whole thing is not scripted. I just do whatever comes to my mind in a sequence. Right, so I've already shown this web page to you. We go to our storage. I've shown you these virtual logical volumes, which would be the virtual disks for virtual machines, 3 GB in size. We already have an iSCSI initiator, iSCSI targets, one iSCSI target defined, which covers these two logical volumes. So this would show up in the physical host. Now how do we access this these volumes, this target in the physical host? The technique is you copy this iSCSI target string and you copy it somewhere in a text file. Okay, where is that? Exit from here. Okay, so we'll minimize this one as well. Okay, I don't need this document, so I can close this window. Fine. So what I've done is I've noted down my iSCSI target here. Okay, so I can even write it like this to stand out. Fine. Now what? iSCSI target is noted down. We need to attach this central storage to both physical hosts. Let me show you the diagram. These LVMs are here. Okay, I've not drawn them before or previously. I'm just drawing them now with the help of this mouse. These two LVMs are here. This iSCSI target, assume this is your iSCSI target. This needs to be mounted on Xen host 1 and Xen host 2. Both machines need to have access to the same storage. How do we do that? So from the GUI, this virtual manager, I'll try to show you. Okay, this is the virtual manager on Xen host 1. No virtual machine is yet created. Domain 0 uses 512 MB of RAM. Okay, so you click on this localhost here, and either you go through right click details, or you can also go through edit host details, and you see your Xen host showing here. This is the physical host. You go to virtual networks, not virtual networks, storage. You don't see any storage here, right? Nothing is shown here. You click this add button at the bottom left and specify a name for this new storage pool. I would call it open filer storage. Okay, or I can even call it open filer target 1, and I would specify the type as iSCSI. Then I press forward, and this is important to note. This is not just some sample text here. This is important. This is some actual stuff. Target path is going to be /dev disk by path. Okay, there are 3-4 types of targets which are provided by Linux. I'll show you here. List /dev disk by, you see, by ID, by label, by path, and by UUID. I can show you the list of all of them by ID -L. You see only HDA. This is your disk CD-ROM drive is pointing to HDA. So this is by ID, pointing to SDA, pointing to SDA, pointing to SDA. These are 2 partitions, and this is the main disk. So disk by label, only one disk has a label, which is SDA2, which is pointing to SDA2, which is of course the swap disk on this physical host. By path is right now, one is HDA, one is SDA, which is your physical disk connected directly with this physical host, and these are the 2 partitions in this physical disk. And by UUID, you see only one disk here, SDA1. This is the partition number 1 on physical disk SDA. Your iSCSI is not showing anywhere here. The best place to connect your iSCSI device and use it for your VMs is dev disk by path. And why is that? Because the path is going to retain itself. The UUIDs can change randomly whenever the machine is rebooted. The path can change because the drive letters can be assigned randomly. Any devices, any targets which are discovered first would get the first letter, and any targets which discovered later would get the later alphabet. So that would create problems. So we cannot use by label, we cannot use by ID, we cannot use by UUID. We can, but each of them has its own pros and cons depending on the storage type which you are going to use. I'm going to use iSCSI, and my IP is going to be the same throughout the life of so-called life of this this virtual data center. So I would use disk by path. It might sound Greek to you. It will clear up in a moment. Target path would remain this string. Hostname is the hostname of your iSCSI server or your open filer server, whatever you have. storage.example.com. You can even specify IP here. It doesn't matter. Source path. Source path is going to be your iSCSI target string, which we noted down here. This is what it will mount from that storage. Source path, I put paste here. Okay, it's copied. Now it will probably give an error, and there's a reason to it. Let's press finish. Error creating pool, could not start storage pool, internal error, host lookup failed, name or service not known. So it doesn't know which host is it and how to connect to it. Storage.example.com is correct. The problem is it could not find it was not able to find iSCSI service. If you check the status, service iSCSI status, oh, it's running. But most of the time you would find that this service was not running, so it would give you an error. And let's check if this host is visible here. Cat etc hosts storage.example.com is defined as this one, so this should work. There is some problem in my storage.example.com. This is correct. Maybe this extra space was problem. Example storage. Alright, try finish. Okay, so it now worked. Maybe that space was giving problem. Remember, if iSCSI service is stopped, it would give you an error, and I'll show it to you in the other physical host. I'll stop the iSCSI service manually, and then I'll try to create the storage, and it will give you that error. Now minimize this text window. We don't need this at the moment. We come back to our host detail where we click this plus add pool button, and now we have this OpenFiler target 1 showing here. It's showing that this is pool type is iSCSI target, and this is the path, location is dev disk by path, and this is the volume. Notice the path of the volume is, first of all, 3 GB in size, 2.9. The path is dev disk by path, IP, the word IP, and the IP itself, colon port, which is the port for iSCSI service. Then the IQN, iSCSI qualified name, and then you have this target 1 and logical unit number 0. These are two disks showing as logical unit number 0 and 1. So you would be selecting these disks when you create virtual machines. Fine, I'll close this, and you can again verify that it still exists. Storage, it does exist here. Okay, close this, minimize this, because I'm going to come back to it in a moment. I'm going to create the same storage on second machine. This is XEN host 2. Okay, service iSCSI stop. This is the iSCSI initiator service. Okay, it's not iSCSI server, but this is required because when you create the storage, of course, this iSCSI initiator must connect to the host which you would specify. So if this service is stopped, you would get an error, and this did cost me about 2 hours, so that is why I'm emphasizing so much on it. So you should also remember. So I'll show you what problem it causes. This is XEN host 2. You select this local host here, click edit host details, go to storage, no storage here, right? Click plus, give it a name like storage target 1. It's going to be iSCSI, and before I use the word OpenFiler, so I'll just keep it consistent. OpenFiler target 1. Okay, let me just verify. It doesn't matter, it's not that important. OpenFiler target 1. Okay, it's not that important. They can be totally different names, but I just want to be consistent. iSCSI target forward, this is going to be the same, or it has to be retained as it is. Host name is going to be storage.example.com. don't press extra space, don't type in extra space. Source path is again, oh, we don't have source path here, and I cannot copy across VNC terminal. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I'll just open a browser here. Okay, I'm going to specify https://storage.example.com 446 OpenFiler password, login, yeah, store it, accept all cookies, come on, don't, okay, fine. Where is iSCSI target? This one. So this is my iSCSI target name. Copy this text, and again what you can do is utilities, editors, kEdit. Okay, so this is my target name. Okay, copy this. There was no need to copy it into an intermediate editor, but I'm an old man. Old habits die slowly. Okay, source path, paste this here and try pressing finish. It will give you an error. Okay, see, could not start storage pool, internal error, iSCSI administrator -mode discovery blah blah blah, cannot connect to iSCSI daemon. This is the main storyteller for you. Okay, if you press details, you'll see all sorts of details here. I'll just press close, and what I'll do is I'll go to my terminal and I'll say come on, start, and you should make sure that it comes up every time you boot your system, and the same I'm going to do on the second machine as well before I forget. Okay, check config --level 35 iSCSI on, so I never forget this. Okay, so we are back to our XenHost 2. Where is our screen? Virtual Machine Manager, host details, add new storage. Okay, now if you press finish here, it would hopefully connect. Great, connected, and this appears here and shows you the same two volumes with the same paths, 100% same paths, which was important, which was the idea behind whole exercise, with the same paths here with same logical unit numbers. Okay, so we have our Xen hosts connected to the central storage now. We can close these windows. Fine. Great. What next? What next? We are going to create a VM. A VM. VM can be created on any of the hosts, but we will not be able to migrate it because we need to specify certain settings in a specific file on each host, and I'm going to show you that now. I'll clear the screen because these black lines are distracting me. vi etc xend config. Come on. Okay, so this is your config file, which you ideally you should make a copy of it first. etc xend config.xxp.original. There's one more thing which I forgot to tell you, which is not totally necessary. You should have the time of all machines synchronized with one central time server. Okay, which I have not covered here because it's trivial. You can do that at your own as well using NTP. Okay, we made a backup file, and now I'm going to edit this xend config, and there are 4 lines which I have to enable. Okay, they deal with this, the word relocation. So let's check this first line here, uncomment this and specify it is a relocation server. Remember, it's a security risk when you enable these, because all this communication is done over plain text on the network. So you should make absolutely sure that which machines you want live migration to be enabled on. XEN port, no need to touch that. XEN relocation port, enable that. 8002. Okay, ZenD address, don't touch that. ZenD relocation address uncomment, and if it is not specified, that means all addresses. Okay, so how many lines I've changed? I've changed ZenD relocation server 1, ZenD relocation port 2, ZenD relocation address, and then ZenD relocation host allow. Right now it will only allow localhost, so I'll comment this and I will uncomment this line here. ZenD relocation host allow all. Okay, and the explanation is written here. It's a very well documented commented file, so you can use that. Fine, don't need to touch anything else right now. Save and exit, and do the same on the other host. Fine, so this is Zen host 2. Again, make a copy first, etc ZenD config.sxp to etc ZenD config xxp.original, and then you can mess with this file. I hope I'm not too fast in my typing. I'm going to edit this file here at etc ZenD config.sxp. Enter and change the same 4 lines again. ZenD relocation server uncomment, say yes. ZenD relocation port, oops, okay, and ZenD relocation address all, and ZenD relocation host, comment this line and uncomment this one. All hosts should be allowed. That's all. Save and exit. And now, ideally, if you just restart the ZenD service and libvirtuald service, this should work. This should work. But for some reason, in my last experiment, which I did at my own, this did not work. Anyway, let's try that. Service ZenD restart, because you have to make it reread this file, ZenD and libvirtuald restart. Fine, and I'll try to do the same on my other host, physical host 1. Service ZenD restart, service libvirtuald restart. Okay, now what is going to be the test for it? We can try this GUI and see if it connects to the other host. Sorry, not new machine. Add connection, file, add connection, hypervisor Zen connection, remote tunnel over SSH to, this is Zen host 1. Is this Zen host 1? Yes. Okay, so again, add connection, and zenhost2.example.com, connect. No, it did not work. See, this wasted a lot of my time earlier as well, and I ripped apart most of the configuration in an attempt to fix this. It complains that libvirtuald daemon is probably not started, whereas it was. I just restarted it in front of your eyes, right? Let me try connecting to these. Let me try connecting to these 2 physical hosts by using my Fedora's Virtual Machine Manager. This is my Fedora Virtual Machine Manager from my laptop. See, this is version 7 on Fedora, and I'm using Fedora 11. I'll try connecting to that physical host from here and see if it works. Hypervisor is going to be Xen. Connection remote tunnel over SSH. Host name is Xen host 1. Connecting. It asks for a password, which is for the wallet. I say don't. It asks for the Xen host 1 password, and I type in Red Hat, and it works. It shows me, it connects properly to the other host, means the physical host. I can add another connection, Xen remote tunnel over SSH. I'm going to connect to Xen host 2 and connect. Don't want to create a wallet password for it. Authenticity, yes. Password Red Hat. Okay, so I've got, you see, I've got these two hosts connected here perfectly without any problem. I wonder why that stupid virtual machine manager from this CentOS is not working properly. Okay, let me minimize this, and before minimizing, let me show you that the storage, etc., all are showing here. Details, storage, it's connected. This is physical host 2. Go to physical host 1, try details, showing the storage here. Great. Remember, this is my Fedora's virtual machine manager. So if I click localhost, this would be my laptop, and I select details, it would show me the file system storage here, various lib virtual images, and this is my Windows XP image. So it doesn't have that iSCSI storage configured here. So this virtual manager is working properly and showing or connecting, first of all connecting to the physical hosts and hosts properly, showing their details properly. So now I have to figure out what is the problem of the virtual machine manager. Let me minimize this. What's the problem with the virtual machine manager here? Okay, fine. I'll close this video here, find the solution, and then attach the video to this one.